This is WSB Television, Channel 2 in Atlanta. And this is Action News with John Pruitt and Monica Kaufman, Jim Biondi on sports, and Johnny Beckman with the weather.
Good evening. Those April showers came a few days early this year.
Live, local, late breaking. This is Channel 2 Action News at 6 p.m. Coverage you can count on.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jovita Moore.
I am Justin Farmer. Right to our breaking news this evening. We have a lot of it. Students stuck in their schools.
Again, investigators are working to find a motive.
It's been a very tense situation. We heard deputies took a lot of gunfire when they got on the scene.
But when we started asking for on-camera interviews,
the masked man turned toward him and fired 2 shots, then fled toward some apartments.
They're also trying to find that last customer who was here inside of the store.
Security around this area has really toughened up.
Reporting live, Mark Winnie.
Jody Fleischer.
Ross Cabot.
Wendy Corona.
Carl Willis.
Nefertiti Jacquez, Channel 2 Action News.
Hi, I'm Chris Daley. Just every person has a story, so does every place. I'm outside WSB-TV Channel 2, part of Cox Media Group. It's known for being the top television station here in Atlanta and is even recognized as one of the best in the country. Channel 2's parent company, Cox Enterprises, was founded in Dayton, Ohio, back in 1898 when James M. Cox bought the Dayton Evening News. His success in the newspaper led him to public service, where he became Ohio's first 3-term governor and even ran for President of the United States.
In 1920, the Democrats nominate James Cox, Ohio's governor, as their presidential candidate. He chooses for his running mate Franklin Roosevelt.
After losing the election to Warren Harding, Governor Cox decided to refocus his attention on growing his media business. In 1935, he started Dayton's first radio station, WHIO. 4 years later, Governor Cox's ambition led him to becoming publisher of the Atlanta Journal and owner of WSB Radio. His innovative spirit led to the development of the first television station in the South, WSB-TV. And since its beginning back in 1948, the station has done nothing but thrive. Governor Cox's vision of improving the quality of life for the viewers continues to influence WSB-TV and one of the station's best-known veterans, Jocelyn Dorsey. Starting at Channel 2 as a reporter, Jocelyn became the first African-American to anchor a regular newscast in the Atlanta market. After her time in the newsroom, she brought her talents to the Community Affairs Department, where she's been a part of the WSB-TV family for 43 years now. I sat down with Jocelyn to learn how her positive impact on the community continues to contribute to the station's success.
A lot of people don't know that we're a family-owned business, and the family is located here, headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia. Cox Enterprises is our parent company. But a lot of people don't know that our chairman of the board, Jim Kennedy, and his wife, Sarah, have made a huge impact in this community that a lot of people don't even know. Let's start with, they put up a lot of the money to bring the King Papers to the Civil and Human Rights Museum. The Path Foundation, which is designing bicycle paths, so theoretically you can go from here to Stone Mountain on a bicycle. They have been very involved in the Beltline. Piedmont Park, they started the Peachtree Road Race. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
We pressed hard the whole way. You had to press hard down the first hill because everybody ran under 420. Then I took the lead and tried to keep pressing.
Jocelyn, can you tell me how WSB-TV is different from other stations around the country?
I think it's different because there's a culture of caring. The station is very committed to the community, unlike almost any station I've ever heard of in the country. We've had a family-to-family project that has spanned nearly 30 years now. It's the longest running public service station-wide project in the country and enjoys 5 underwriters who contribute to it. And I think the people, the veterans that are here, people don't leave WSB that much. You'll notice the bench strength that we have. You know, people have been here 15, 20 years. I've been here 43 years. So if you look around at the management especially, it doesn't change, and it's pretty stable.
And you mentioned people not leaving WSB-TV, and being a veteran yourself, can you tell me about the Community Affairs Department and what makes it so unique?
What makes our department so unique is that it is a department. We have our own videographers, producers. We produce a a weekly public affairs show, a weekly half-hour show that does pretty well in the numbers. But very few stations have a weekly half-hour program dedicated to the nonprofit community and the good works that are being done in the community.
Can you tell me about the types of transformations you've seen since you've been here at the station?
The transformation is really the technology, is the biggest transformation. When I started, we were shooting 16mm film, and now everything's on a network. So that's the biggest change, I think, is the technological change. But the biggest change in this department is that, you know, when I was first doing this back in the 80s, after I got out of the newsroom, it was a simple talk show. But now we are a community newscast, and we have video packages, compelling stories about what people are doing in the community and how people are triumphing over tragedy.
And I don't think people always understand that journalism is meant to help and inform the public. Can you tell me a little bit about how this department reinforces that message?
First and foremost, it's a watchdog for the government to make sure the government is doing its job. And secondly, it's also to help people who cannot help themselves, to be that voice for people who can't have the voice or don't have the power to have the voice. And then to be able to use that power for good is probably the most rewarding thing, because, you know, we're all after ratings and we want to be #1 in our viewership, but what that also does is gives us a great audience to be able to deliver fundraising efforts for nonprofit organizations, raise the awareness about critical issues facing Georgians, and hopefully solve some community problems.
And what do you enjoy most about the work that you do?
What I enjoy is seeing the needle move on fundraising efforts when we know that we've had a direct impact. You know, for example, we had Georgia Gives Day, and before we got involved in a big way, Georgians had raised a lot of money.
Georgia, thank you. On Georgia Gives Day, you gave big. People donated more than $3.7 million, and that blows away last year's total by more than $1 million. The money is going directly to more than 2,000 nonprofits making a difference throughout the metro Atlanta area.
So to see that jump was just incredible. And to see every time we get involved with something that it either doubles in capacity, it doubles in the fundraising. And those are the things that I like to see, because those are real dollars that are going to provide real services for people, and that's important.
And that kind of impact on the community, what does that say about journalism to you?
It tells me that you can have journalism for good. You can. I mean, you can use your journalism to make a difference. And I think that's the difference of not being in the newsroom. You can definitely have a different slant to things. Not that you're trying to not be objective, but community journalism is a little different from the newsroom. You really want to bring out the positive things that are going on.
WSB-TV's annual Back to School campaign's coming up. Can you tell me about that?
I thought that we could make a huge impact with Back to School, and we could stuff a bus. And so everybody bought into it. And now we're stuffing 6 buses in 6 locations and collecting school supplies and book bags for homeless kids and kids living in group homes, better known as orphanages. And it's pretty overwhelming. We did over 6,000 book bags, and they all were distributed, which means there are a lot of homeless kids and a lot of kids living in group homes. But that impact on those kids of having, you know, a fresh start, just like everybody else in school, so they don't have to be different, is very meaningful.
And this department drives that campaign, right? And is it one of the biggest community outreach events too?
I would say from the station's perspective, it's one of the biggest community outreach events because we have over 20 anchors and reporters. I have never in my career seen 20 anchors and reporters out in the field all on one day, and it wasn't a breaking news story, that it's actually community service at its best. And I mean, we have our meteorologists. I mean, it cuts across. It's reporters, anchors, our meteorologists, everybody. And they all have embraced it, and that's very unusual for a newsroom to come together to really do a big community event like that. So I'm very proud of it.
And that ties into you saying how, it really gives into the WSB-TV message, how it's more than just the big story, but how people here want to give back to the community the best they can.
It's amazing. Yeah. It's amazing. There are very few anchors and reporters who say no. They do whatever you ask, and they do it with enthusiasm. And they don't really get paid. I mean, they get a small fee, but that's nothing compared to the time that they give to the community. And it's so exciting to be able to work with people who really get it and who really give. And I think that comes across also in the reporting, because if you're out in the community and the community sees you out there and they're embracing you, you're going to get the better stories. You're going to get the contacts that you probably never would have gotten before. And more than ever, our reporters and anchors are out there giving back to the community.
If you would like to donate, volunteer, or help us stuff the bus, please visit our website. I'm Chris Daley. Thanks for watching Behind the Two.